it's Kevin with the New Warehouse podcast here at ProMat 2025. And I'm going to be joined by two guests here joining me on the couch here on the last day of ProMat, right? First thing in the morning, though, so we still got some energy left.
100%.
Here,
100%.
Right? So I'm going to be joined by TK Haddadi here and Matthew Thompson.
Yo.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you.
How's the week been for you both?
It's been great. I mean, the first couple of days, they were, I would probably say, as good as what ProMat was a couple of years ago.
Oh, nice.
Third day started a little hot, but then kind of slowed down toward the end of the day, which is normal.
Yeah.
And today, I think it's going to be a lot of walking, a lot of steps on the floor.
Yeah. We finally, with those with boosts, we finally get some time to go out on the floor, right?
Exactly.
See what other people are doing, definitely.
You got to put the little thing over so that your competition doesn't know who you are.
Yeah, do a little snooping, a little spying.
But it's been a great show for us as well. We've had phenomenal leads, a lot of really good engagement. So we've got a lot of work to follow up on too. So our home team, we've been doing a lot of syncing between the daily activity here at the show and the home team.
Nice.
Watching our CRM so that we can keep the hot contacts hot.
Yeah, so, definitely. Keep that fire burning.
100%.
Definitely. All right, good to hear. And so you're both joining me here. You guys are representing the solutions community, right, of
yes,
MHI, the MHI industry group. So we're going to talk a little bit about today some of the labor challenges out there in the operations world, and also a little bit about AI as well, right? But tell us right now, I mean, what are some of the primary drivers behind these labor issues for both manufacturing and warehousing today?
Yeah, I think I think TK has a really good overarching umbrella analogy that I think he should share on this first, because if you have this context, all of the labor stuff that you're doing really kind of makes a little bit more sense.
All right, TK, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I think the best way to put it, and I like using the story, so I'll use my story first, as far as when I joined this industry was 2008, and it was kind of like what we see now. I think when the economy goes down, that's when automation flourishes, you know? And a lot of people are now worried about, hey, the next generation, the AI is here to take our jobs, things like that. So I will kick it off with just, the elephant in the room, which is the AI. What is AI doing for us here? I mean, I would say I heard a lot of definition of how to look at AI. The best way to look at it is like you're going to a library and you need to absorb all the information that you have there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So there is the scaring part. There is like, okay, where to go, how to navigate. We hear a lot when you join a company, everything is on the server or everything is on the cloud, and you're lost and all that. But just imagine that you have a librarian that have read all those books and knows every page, everything, and you just have to go to him or her and then just ask them the right question. So asking the right question or knowing how to enter this industry or how to attack this library is the new skill that you need to acquire. So when we look at talent, we will need the talent. So I'll let Matthew chime in on that, but just wanted to set the stage as far as, hey, AI is here to help us. How you look at it, it will be up to you, and how companies do the onboarding and adoption of that tool or that basically infrastructure.
Yeah.
And from a historical context, I mean, this is likened to, we've had these technological advances. This isn't like I've invented a better wrench, right? This is 1843, and we're inventing the fax machine for the first time. And yes, it goes back to 1843.
The fax machine, really?
Absolutely.
That old?
Alexander Bain, 1843. And the modern version of that, 1966, I think, Xerox machine kind of invented. But that invention goes back, there were multiple versions of that in the 1800s. And that was a concern to people, like, how do we put people on horses to run letters, right?
Yeah.
But no, we have this new technology. It didn't necessarily, it just changed the industry. It didn't cause people to lose jobs. It created different ones, right? We go back to personal computing being used in a business application, 1970s, 1976. You got some of us who are old enough will remember the TRS-80s of the world, and Apple coming out with its first computer. Look, this was like 1977. Again, we still have jobs flourishing. It didn't take anybody away, it didn't necessarily put people on the streets. What it did was it changed the job industry. We still have more jobs now than we've ever had throughout history. AI really falls into that same category. So having the biggest challenge is kind of removing the fear and understanding, because labor challenges don't go away, right? We still have an aging workforce. These are people that have tribal knowledge that have developed in their roles and their positions for 20 plus years, right? And they're aging out.
Yeah.
You have a younger workforce coming in. They're very, very transient. They're going to be in a position for 1 to 3 years, and then they're moving on to the next thing, because they're wanting to learn as much as they can and then advance into another position. So you have this constant churn of the younger workforce. You have the aging workforce moving out. You have tribal knowledge itself, where 5 different people know something, and if they leave, you lose 20% of your knowledge base. So these are real challenges, and those aren't going away, but this is something where AI, and DK can chime in on this too, is where that AI can help supplement and prevent that loss and allow that company to keep functioning and allow people to develop new skills, like in the AI world, which is becoming bigger and bigger, being able to understand AI. My kids do it for high school to help them through, like, you've got different academy type things that are out there that the AI helps them learn, like having a personal tutor. So that adoption's here. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
And if you can do it, if you understand it, it will help augment the labor issues, actually mitigate the labor issues that you're having.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting perspective there. And I think it is something that's, it's certainly here, right? And in a big way. I think it's very prevalent, not only in our industry, but just in general life as well, right? So are you hearing this week, as we're here at ProMan, are you hearing people talk a lot about AI? Are you hearing people trying to figure out how to navigate AI and how to bring it into their operations? What are you hearing here this week on the floor?
Yeah, I would say that the word is out there. I mean, every company that's trying to get some attention, the word AI or the word sustainability, I think they're kind of the buzzwords of the show or the last few days.
Yeah.
But I would say a lot of companies or people don't necessarily understand what AI or what part of AI they can adopt. You know what I mean? It's like you said, it's not a buzzword anymore. It's here, and it's here to stay. It's not like a blockchain where it was kind of like a, it was
what
there
happened
for,
to that?
I don't know, but
It's still there.
it's not something that it's still there, but it's not like a. I mean, when you talk about AI, you're just talking about internet. When internet came in, or when the app word came in. Whether it's Microsoft or basically Google or Apple apps. So that's the next level. You just need to know what do you need it for. Do you need it for streamline or your workflows? Is it there to address your processes? Is it there to bridge the gap between, yes, I want to grow, but I cannot hire, and I cannot go from 50 to 400 people in overnight.
Yeah.
AI can bridge that gap. Or are you using AI from a hardware or software standpoint where you're accumulating all these data that you can improve what you have as far as equipment or software that your company basically are here to service the industry. So I think the first thing is people and companies and leaders, they have to have an AI expert within that can say, hey, are we looking at this tool or this infrastructure from the inside, or is it for something that we can develop to serve our customers?
And even if it's not something where you have a person who is hired as your AI professional, so to speak, but somebody who can champion and understand the efforts of what AI can do. I mean, we have manufacturers here that have integrated AI into mission assignment for some of their AGVs and their AMRs within their structure, right? Because it's a system that drops into place to handle pallet shuttle movement, for instance, right? And those decisions are being made in an AI manner within a type of AI in order to optimize. You have 30 or 40 or sometimes 50 pallet shuttles moving through a three-dimensional chessboard. What is effectively, it's like playing 3D chess, and you're shuttling and moving and making decisions as to how to get your pallets in and
Yeah.
your pallets out as quickly as possible. And you can do that with a human being, but it takes a lot of effort, and it's draining where the AI can make those decisions 24 hours a day. Now you reassign people to tasks that humans are best capable of doing.
Yeah.
So it's not about an RIF. You'll hear that in the investment world. It's not about RIFs, reduction in force, right? Removing people. It's about giving them the ability to do higher function tasks, a lot of cross-mentoring, a lot of cross-education, giving them new experiences. I don't like the word cross-training just because I train my dog. We teach people, we mentor
like that.
people, we help them grow, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a Simon Sinek thing that I once heard him say, and I latched onto it. But these are opportunities, and really you have to present it that way. So even if you have somebody internally that understands AI and its implications, even if they're not necessarily doing AI work, but then you get into understanding data flow, for instance, and really where these things can pair up. You have data in your system, and it could take somebody days, weeks, months to analyze product movement through your warehouse. And you can use an AI tool to go through and understand that, get a summary of that product movement, find your outliers where you're having bottlenecks and challenges. Your AI can sometimes identify that in an hour or two.
Yeah.
Right? And now you go get the people on site. I did a little 30-second thing on LinkedIn recently about what we call Genchi Genbutsu, or a Gemba walk is probably more familiar, probably within the Toyota production systems, TPS. And you go and you have a place to go and see. So it's not that it replaces something, it gives you a better starting point. So you're not running the marathon starting at mile 1. You got a little help and you got dropped down at mile 20. And now you cover the last 6 miles.
I think it's 6.
Yeah, 6.2.
I don't know. Never ran a marathon myself. So.
I did a half, and I was done.
This week feels like a marathon. I say,
It feels like one.
Yeah, but it just gives you a more advantageous starting point to get the people engaged to run across the finish line faster, more efficiently, more effectively. That's really where it comes in, and that's where your labor force, those two pieces working in parallel, the advantages there of the companies that use it. I think we're not seeing quite as much of the discussion in AI because, from the systems integration standpoint, we have the software that mates up, and we do the hardware pieces, but the components of what we integrate for a customer when we're doing a design based upon the data, some of those components definitely have that internal AI piece. So if you're in the software world, you're seeing it more. It's at more of an active discussion. In our world, it's not quite as prominent, but it's definitely still there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I loved what you said about going and getting you ahead a little bit, right? Like that marathon example you're talking about. And I think it's interesting. I mean, there's certainly a lot of power there, right, to be able to leverage and utilize to do that, right? But from the perspective of identifying those roles that only a human can do, right, or need that human touch, how do you kind of advise or recommend people to come up with a strategy to start to bring AI into their workflows, into their processes, and how do you identify, I guess 2 parts here, how do you identify those roles, right, and then how do you communicate to people in those roles, which are typically on the floor workers? Like, how do you communicate to them that this won't result in their job going away, it'll just look a little different?
Yeah, I can chime in on that. So the simple way of looking at it, and I always believe in the ideology of starting with the end in mind. I think no matter what the industry is, I would say sales and leadership positions will never go away. That's bottom line. People do business with people, right? So as long as you thrive to get to either whether sales, marketing, business development, that arena, or leadership position, you're safe, right? In a way. I mean, I would say you're safe. I would say 99% you're safe.
Yeah.
Then the next level is management. Right now, on the AI world, you hear a lot of AI agents. So now we're going from like a prompt or a bot to like an agent. An agent's kind of almost like autonomous. It's not like, when you look at our word, there is automated system. It's not automatic system. So there is still human interference with that. So what we're gonna see in the AI world coming into the workplace is you're not gonna have an admin doing basic or repetitive tasks. You're gonna have a bunch of AI agents, and then you need somebody to manage them. So management of AI agents is a good place to aim for at first. Now let's talk about like the repetitive stuff, like going through, I think, accounting, maybe admin. We're not gonna need like a 10-team accounting group. No, it might be like 2 or 3 people, and then you're managing these agents. So I think from a labor and talent standpoint, number one, if you fall into these admin or these soft, or I would say like kind of hardcore positions where, you know, an input, there is something that's going to happen, an output, if you fall into that kind of category, I would say start adopting and learning about AI, because it's there to help your job. There will be work for everybody out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like looking at YouTube or looking at TikTok. I mean, there's so many people out there, and everybody, one way, shape, or form, make a little bit of money. So start learning and start aiming toward what's next for me. How can I get to a management position? And instead of managing people, now you're going to be managing AI agents. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but that's definitely like a 2030 vision. So I'll stop here and I'll let Matthew add to that.
Yeah, actually, I mean, there's some of the largest. I'm trying to remember the name of the company, but they do financial analysis using AI, and they look at north of $4 trillion worth of transactions every month.
Wow.
And they're able to go through using the AI tool to find the leaks and identify, and then you can kind of run, as a company, you can kind of come in and you can have them do your analysis on what you have, and based upon this huge data set that they have, they can kind of go, well, here's where your leaks are, and to help companies recover revenue that they already have, which is important. You know, AI, you talk about a starting point. Sometimes it's as simple as understanding that how to use Microsoft Word was a starting point. How to use Office was a starting point. Can you use? I still remember, you know, having when the job descriptions would first come out, and they started saying, you know, do you have Microsoft Excel capabilities? It was in the job description. Now it's a given. You kind of have to have that. Right?
You got to know how to do a VLOOKUP.
Right, and it's become so ubiquitous that, and so everywhere present, you have to. It's going to get to that point, and sometimes it's how do we use I think TK and I were having a conversation about this the other day. How can I use AI from even in a business development? Sometimes it's just advancing my starting point. It's doing some of the grunt work for me to help me identify some prospects, because you see AI in analyzing business patterns and buying signals. They're using that for seeing what companies are putting out there to kind of figure out, we're going to return a score on this company as to whether or not they're really interested in automation. There's a lot of little ways that you can use it as a simple tool to start incorporating it. I think the more that we do that, that's going to help. And again, it's not about replacing people. It's giving them a different skill set so that they can start that point earlier. AI becoming prevalent in your onboarding process with your operators, for instance, as a training tool. You're going to have lots of, and you have LMS out there, learning management systems, and all of those. Those are becoming more, those are starting to incorporate AI as well. I know it's some of the things that we do with ours, because every system's going to be different. You're going to want to have an operator when you onboard them. How fast can I get them productive?
Right.
So again, that's another area where AI comes in to help facilitate the people, the labor part, so that you can bring in a new employee, and instead of having 3 or 4 or 5 weeks of them shadowing your experienced worker, which is important. You still have to have that, but you want to capture that tribal knowledge too. And if you can encapsulate it, and AI can help with some of that, so that you can get people up and running and productive in their role. Because the faster people see success in their role, the more likely they'll continue being successful in their role, and they'll continue growing. And that's where AI can come in with you and help augment some of that training in the workforce.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that augmentation, and I think you hit on a big point there around the training itself, right? Because that training can be quite costly, right? For an organization, you bring people in, especially in a warehouse manufacturing environment, maybe they come in, they're temps, right? And we know the labor market is really competitive in certain pockets of the country, right? On that warehouse labor. So, you bring somebody in, you train them for a couple days, and then they're there for like a week, and then they go to the warehouse down the street, right? It's a lot of wasted money. So being able to do that, I think, is really smart. I think that's a great application for AI to be able to do that, put all that together. And obviously, we don't want to have just that one person in the warehouse that knows everything, right? Well, that's fantastic that they know everything.
That's
if something
that's
happens
dangerous.
to them, yeah, we're in trouble,
dangerous.
right?
Yeah.
So AI can kind of become that person, essentially, right? An agent or something like that. So if we look at kind of coming out of the show here, we're wrapping up on the last day. What do you think coming out of this show people are going to be taking away in regards to AI, to automation, to some of these kind of more advanced technologies, and how do you think that's going to unfold over the next year or so?
I can give you one thing that I can see coming out of this. There's a cost associated with everything.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a very real cost associated with doing nothing. And it's really hard to spot sometimes because you have your OpEx. Your life is that way. This is the way we run our business. We don't have any additional costs, blah, blah, blah. There is a cost to doing nothing because time does not stand still. Innovation doesn't stand still. Does that mean you need to revamp your entire processes once a year? No, absolutely not. But there is a cost to doing nothing. And if you're not innovating, if you're not consistently looking at how you can get that extra 0.5%, 1% out of production with a lot of the technology that's here at this show, you are going to fall behind.
Yeah.
And in your ability to do your job because somebody else out there is. Somebody else out there is figuring out how do we optimize our warehouse? How do we optimize our DC? How do we optimize our network?
Yeah.
Again, another tool that AI can very much help with. But if you're not doing that, there is a cost associated with doing nothing. And so you got to have your eye on moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, as you guys were talking, there was a lot of things, a lot of ideas, a lot of words bouncing in my brain. But to answer your question, I would say the first thing that people need to come out of this show, at 1 o'clock today is AI is here to stay. There is a huge gap as far as labor. There is a huge shortage. So how can we take AI to bridge that gap? You guys mentioned a lot of words that, spot on. So I want to summarize them into 3 words that AI, if you want to substitute AI with other words, I would say knowledge. So acquiring knowledge, acquiring experience, and retention. Those are the 3 words that I would associate with AI. So how can I acquire knowledge about the industry? And whether you're a practitioner, which is an end user, an integrator, capital equipment vendor, or an OEM, you need that knowledge. You need to understand what's out there. At the end of the day, every day is a project. And I come from project management world, is all the dates move except go live dates. So how can we make that happen every day? Whether you have a load or you run an e-commerce platform and your customer hits buy and then you want to have it in that same day delivery, or whatever the case may be. But how can AI help me bridge that gap and make sure that I deliver on time with the right quality? And also, how can I retain that entity that was responsible for that? Like you said, you have these workers that come in seasonal, but how can I capture that knowledge through an AI so the next person that comes in tomorrow can just pick it up and run with it?
Yeah.
I think that's where I think we need to start leveraging AI in our industry and even in our daily life. So I would say, again, acquiring knowledge, experience, which is all these mistakes that the efficiencies that AI can help us with, as well as retention. So we retain that in a place where whoever comes in and needs to pick or needs to deliver this project can just take that and ask a couple questions and then run with the project.
Yeah, definitely.
And the retention's a big one.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent point that, again, like I said before, the sooner you can have somebody successful in their role, typically the longer they stay.
Yeah.
You know, success breeds success. And so from a knowledge and a training and experience and all of that within your labor workforce and yeah, it takes some intelligent timing and some looking at your processes. That's where the Gimba walks. If you understand your processes, now you can start to begin to go, that has to be a human being. We can't just, that part has to be human.
Yeah.
This part though, so how can we get this person doing the stuff that they're going to be successful at? That's going to be more interesting, right? That's going to be more engaging from an employee standpoint, and remove some of the, I'm typing in 5 numbers, 3,000 times that I don't need to be doing.
Yeah.
I'm simplifying it, I know that, but there's the grunt work that's not engaging, that people don't like to do. We can get them on the interesting stuff. That's where your retention will go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I'm hearing from you guys is one, get started, right? Don't wait, because you're going to get behind, right? And the other is education too. Create that awareness as well. And I think that's one thing that you guys are doing, right, through the solutions community, through the MHI industry groups, to be able to do that. So it's great to be able to get you here on the podcast and talk about this topic, which I think is definitely important, that people need to be aware of, people need to be embracing, need to figure out how can they do it for their organization, or as we said, they're going to fall behind in some way. So so people want to learn more about the industry groups and tap into some of that education and awareness. What's the best way to do that?
So I'm going to take AI talent and your question and blend them into one idea that I'm going to put out there through your channel. Is throughout my 16 years of experience in this industry, I would say I have maybe 10 dozen what I call mentors, people that influenced my career, and I'll probably say 80% of them already retired. So what I'm looking at is how can we bring that knowledge back to the industry? How can we reach out to those individuals and find a way? And that's what I told the owner of Ryzen before he retired. I said, I wish I had I have a thumb drive that I can stick in your neck and just acquire all that knowledge.
Just download everything.
And just run with it.
Johnny Mnemonic. Johnny Mnemonic.
So I think AI has that capability of acquiring that knowledge. So my message here is, and John Paxton is one of my mentors through the past few years, let's create a platform basically that is part of the solutions community through these individuals that are right now either golfing or enjoying life, cruising, whatever they're doing, because I believe they can bring a lot back to the industry, and through them we can put the word out there so the next generation can just and this is through universities or other media. I think your podcast is definitely one of them. And let's attract the next generation, and let's make the warehousing or material handling or supply chain industry not cool again, but let's make it cool. Because to be honest,
we say warehouses are sexy. It
depends who you talk to. I mean, if you talk to me, I have some nightmares about being in a warehouse 10 months in a row. But because who are we competing with? I mean, we're competing with the YouTubes of the world, the TikToks of the world. I mean, people want to make more with less. And I think AI can make that happen here. Because at the end of the day, tomorrow you're gonna go to Amazon or one of those platforms or Walmart or Target and then click buy. You're gonna buy something. So who's responsible for that? It's what we do here day to day.
Fantastic. And I think that's a great closing thought there on this conversation, and really appreciate you both coming by here and having this discussion on the last day of ProMat here. Very exciting. And we'll definitely put all the information about the solutions community and MHI industry groups in the show notes and at thenewwarehouse.com. So thank you very much for stopping by, guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Kevin, for the opportunity.
All right. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, The New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesAreSexy.com and get your own.